Hi YouTube, Bushido here and welcome to another video. In this one, I want to start a new series about Abyssal Deadspace. I've done hundreds of them in the past 1 month. I've lost many ships, I've learned many lessons. And in this video, I want to start sharing this knowledge with you, what I've learned and how I improved over time. In this particular series, this one and the following few videos are going to be focused on what kind of enemies you can encounter in Abyssal Deadspace, what to prioritize and how to make sure you don't die, because this is one of the most important things besides your fit and your piloting skills is what enemies you prioritize and how you do that. Now in this video I will be talking about a Karen room, a Marshal room and a Leshak room. In the future videos I will be covering the other ones that you can encounter, and for this particular example I'm going to be using a footage from my other day's live stream on Twitch, where we just encountered this interesting T6 where I had all these 3 rooms, and I'll be talking about how to prioritize these things. If you're new to Abyssal Deadspace, I highly recommend watching my other video, which is going to be a link above over there. This is going to give you insights on how to get started with Abyssal Deadspace. Like I said, I'm going to be showing you T6 examples. The reason why I'm going to show you T6 is this is where you can encounter the most amount of enemies. However, in the lower tiers of Abyssal Deadspace filaments, you can encounter the same rooms, but it's just going to be less of these enemies. So these rules will apply to all the different types of filaments you're going to be doing below T6. Starting from T0 to T5, it's going to be the same rules. If you're new to Abyssal Deadspace, like I said, I recommend watching my other video because this is going to give you a good insight on how to get started with Abyssal Deadspace. One of the most important things, and I cannot stop repeating this to the viewers in my live streams, you don't go ahead of yourself. Don't rush to do T4s or T5s just because you have ISK and you can afford buying an expensive Gila or expensive ship. Take it slowly. Learn the enemies. Learn the rooms. This is one of the most important things that I can give you as an advice, because every time when I try to rush something, I lost a ship. And everybody who comes to my chat that tell me that they lost a ship, well, that was the exact same reason. Take your time, run all the abyssals, like do 100 T3s before you move to T4, do 100 T4s before you move to T5, and so on. Before we get started, if you have any questions, make sure you drop them in the comments below, or you can just come to my live streams and say hi and drop your questions in my chat. I'll be more than happy to answer them. Let's go. I'll keep chat on the video recording so you can say hi, YouTube. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the first room that we are going to be talking about, and this is the Karen room because Charybdis Tyronos is called Karen. Now, this is a very tricky room for people that don't know how to actually tackle this room. So, because Karen can do a lot of damage, and Karen is 99% of the time is going to drift out. So, she's gonna move like to the left or to the right. It's gonna always try to keep like a long distance on you. So having a drone link is going to be very useful for this as well. Let me walk you through how I would do this room. So obviously this is my very first room, so I have a few seconds to think about without moving and without activating my mods. When this timer is off on the top left, and it is off already, I start activating my stuff. So over here we have the Scylla Tyrannos, and these are they have different names over here. They have null charge, they have null warp and stuff. Null warp is gonna get you a scram on you, and then null charge is going to actually newt you. So what I do want to focus first is the null charge, because my biggest enemy is a newt in an active ship. I always kill the Scyllas first because, as you can see, they're always already low HP, so it takes just a little bit of time to get rid of them, right? I'm not worried about the scram because I'm not running an MWD, right? So I would just try to select over here the null charges and focus on them first. Get rid of the newts and I'm good to go. They will also have different names. There will be some that will be webbing you. There will be some that might target paint you. So different. You always look at the effects over here, what they're doing to you. Gonna get rid of these that are neuting me, so I'm on the safe side. And you will also notice that in this room, usually 2 of these Scyllas. This room can be with Lancers as well, which are the other type of cruiser enemies that you'll face over here. A couple of these are always going to focus your drones, and they will usually orbit around Karen. Now, after you kill a few of these, right, I actually also like to kill the Entangler over here, which is webbing me. Let's focus about the Karen, because Karen can actually do a lot of DPS to you. Karen is over there, 46 kilometers away from me. And look at the line over here that she's shooting in a very straight line. The best way to counter Karen is to grab a 45% angle and fly towards her, either on the left or right side, but always keep an angle, because this is gonna, you know, mess with her tracking, and most likely, and most times, she will just miss you. If you pay attention to her attacks right now, they kind of miss me, right? So you're not getting that much damage. And at some point, once you clear the majority of the rooms, you want to already send your drones to actually fight Karen, because she will take a longer time to kill. So this is also really important. And usually what I would do, I would just manually shoot with missiles the Scyllas that are around me, and I'll just send the drones to kill Karen. It will take a couple minutes to do that, which is completely fine. I don't want to drift away too much far away from the gate. So at some point, once, you know, I reach like the middle between the gate and her, I turn around and usually go back to the cache and try to clear that one. The drones are already working. My range with the drone link is 77 kilometers, so I should never ever worry about range. That's why it's very valuable to have a drone link equipped. And this is how I usually would do the Karen room. Of course, keep in mind to always get a good angle. Right now I have a bad angle, so I will kind of switch over here and turn to the left a little bit. And Karen will straight up just miss me, right? If there's like a good angle to Karen, she's just straight up gonna miss you. That's it. Drones are already working. I can start shooting this guy over here and kill him. You don't want to orbit the cache, you don't want to orbit the bioadaptive or the gate, because when you're orbiting, Karen is definitely gonna do a lot of damage to you, so... yeah, and this is how you do the room. Obviously, pay attention to your drones. In most cases, they will not attack your drones. In most cases. You see these guys are yellow boxing? They're trying to shoot the drones, but usually the drones would have way better tracking, and they're not gonna receive a lot of DPS. So these two over there, once I can actually start locking them. I have one of them locked. Karen is down. And now I send one of the drones to actually take care of these two guys, because they're already over there. And in the meantime, I can start working on the one that is next to me, and I can open up the cache, and I can loot and go to the gate, right? That's the whole idea. Send the drones to this one. I kill the one that is next to me. And this is a decent way to do this room. Now, this is a DPS check room. In most cases, you're not gonna be super quick, right? That's why you want to have proper prioritization of your enemies over here, so that you save at least time on this part. You don't want to leave Karen for last, because the longer you leave Karen to live, she's gonna repair her shield, and it's gonna take longer. But as you can see, even with my 1000 DPS Gila in a T6, it took me quite a while to clear this room. So keep that in mind. That's a DPS check, and you want to be efficient in this one. I spend a little bit more time trying to explain stuff over here. I would do that room usually in about 5 minutes. Oh, our favorite room, ladies and gentlemen, here is the Marshal Room. So the Marshal Room, immediately what you want to do is count how many marshals you have. And there is currently in this one, there is 4 marshals. And the best way to do this room is to freaking turn around, launch your drones immediately, and focus the Drainer Marshal. Focus the other Marshal. You send your drones immediately to the Drainer Marshal because they have a huge range on the newt. And the best way to counter the Marshal Room is to actually just fly away from the Marshals. That's all you have to do. This current room has only 3 Marshals. Usually they can be 4, they can be 5. But you prioritize the Draining Marshal, then you prioritize the other Marshals. Right? That's your number 1 priority. You also need to keep in mind your range, right? You don't freaking go out of your drone link range, so you lose lock on them, right? But you definitely want to keep in mind that you want to be far away from the Marshals, right? So I will keep my range at 60 if possible. Right, this is what I would do. And after you're done with the Marshals, you switch to the Thunderchild, because the Thunderchild or the Stormbringers are gonna do AoE damage. So keep that in mind as well. Your drones might get popped. They also do friendly damage to their own kind, so that's fine. But once you pop the Marshals, you can start approaching in the direction of the gate, and you start clearing out everything else. If you have, again, a certain type of enemies that are bad to your fit, in most cases, if you're running an active Gila fit, newts are gonna be your worst enemy. So always try to prioritize enemies that are neuting you. But what I would usually do is, if I see a Skybreaker or anything that does AoE chain attack damage, I focus these guys first. They usually die pretty quickly. Once I'm within my missile range, I obviously also start using my missiles. And it's a pretty easy way to do this room once you know what you're doing. I originally used to struggle a lot with this Marshal Room. I used to lose a few Gilas against Marshals, only because I didn't know that the easiest way to counter the Marshal Room is to just simply turn around and fly away from them. Get range on the Marshal and you will be just fine. But obviously, also for this particular reason, you want to have the drone link augmenter, which is going to increase your overall range of your drone. And this is really important. Without a drone link, you will be able to, you could still do it, but you will be probably efficient within a 50-kilometer range, and 50-kilometer range might be a little bit tricky, and you might receive a lot of DPS. So be careful with that. If you're running a Gila, get yourself a drone link and you'll be more than fine. And this is how you do the Marshal Room. Now also keep in mind, the lower the level of the Abyssal that you're running, the less enemies you're going to encounter. So if you do a T4 Marshal Room, it's not going to be the same as a T6, obviously, right? I'm showing you how it looks like in a T6. And also keep in mind the amount of Marshals is complete RNG. You might run into a Marshal Room with 0 Marshals. You might run into one with 4. I've run into Marshal Rooms that were like multiple Drainer Marshals, which are really aggressive. They can newt a lot. Okay. And here's another battleship room that we're gonna encounter just now. This is a Leshak Room, and pretty much in the Leshak Room, what you want to pay attention to is the names of the Leshaks. So renewing Leshaks are usually the Leshaks that are just healing each other. So there's a bunch of these over here. Ideally, you also want to keep a range on them. Don't go too close on them. You just send your drones and try to maneuver yourself around them. They die pretty quickly, so they're not a big issue usually. Now, the only issue that you might experience with Leshaks usually is the real Leshak Room, which would have like 14 Leshaks, and these are really painful. But over here, you just prioritize based on the names and what you're encountering. So it would be, if there's a neuting, Leshak, that would be a starving Leshak. If it's renewing, that these are like Logi type of Leshaks, which are healing each other and repping each other. So you want to prioritize these as well. You don't want them to give enough time to heal, right? Tangling is gonna be webbing you usually, right? If you take care of the tangling one, you're good to go in terms of your speed. You'll get back your speed, which will obviously mess up with your tracking a little bit. But this particular room, I don't even care. I'm just gonna kill them in a random order, to be honest. It's not a difficult room. Now, it might get tricky if you run into a Marshal room that has a bunch of starving Marshals. The starving ones are the ones that need you. Yeah, so be careful. Always keep in mind that you can keep a bigger range on most of them. And yeah, you would also encounter blinding Marshals. Leshaks. I was saying Marshals. Blinding Leshaks. The blinding Leshaks are basically damping you, and they're decreasing your efficient range of targeting. So if you lock on 70 kilometers, they'll decrease that to like 50, and you need to be within 50 range in order to lock them and you know, kill them. So keep that in mind. If you see blinding Leshaks, you also want to, you know, be aware of this. And in most cases, if you see blinding Leshaks, you kill them first so they don't mess up with your targeting overall. And now I can take care of the other stuff that is left, and this T6 is pretty much done. And there we go. When I usually loot, I just go and orbit the gate at within 2.5 kilometers range. So once I'm done with the entire room, I just simply get my drones in and activate a gate, and we're good to go. This one took me longer. My average would be in T6s with this Gila, which is an extremely expensive Gila. But my average would be around 11 minutes. This morning I did my very first PR, which was 9 minutes in a T6. But yeah, this is usually a good time. Now I call in my drones and I jump out, and this is the entire T6 Abyssal. Just don't forget your drones, because these tend to get really expensive. There you go. Hey, if you watched the entire video and you would like to see more, this is just the first video of this series. I'm going to be uploading more videos to show you the other different types of rooms that you can encounter. We still haven't talked about the Angel Room. We haven't talked about the drone rooms, and there's other rooms to talk about. If you want to see more Abyssal Deadspace video guides, make sure you subscribe and hit that bell notification to get notified when I upload the next video. I'm also gonna make a playlist so you can watch the entire thing in one go if you need to. And yeah, I will be also making more beginner videos for beginner EVE pilots that need a little bit of guidance, how to get started in wormhole space in general, just tips and tricks on how to survive in EVE Online. And yeah, if you're new to EVE Online, make sure you stay tuned, because I have more videos planned for you. Thanks for watching. I will see you around.